ChatGPT models and generative AI applications. Lessons learned.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Almost afternoon. So really great panel we have today. We will talk a little bit about generative AI in general, and where we are right now. What are the issues from a theoretical perspective and also from a practical perspective? And we have 𝐒𝐿, who's a serial entrepreneur and CEO of Metaverse 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐬𝐬. Daniel Robbins, CEO of IBH Media. Alexiei Dingli, Professor of Artificial Intelligence from the University of Malta. And Alena Zharkovskaya, PR Director of ATMOSFERA. All right. Let's start a little bit, and I would like to start a little bit with Alexiei. We'll start a little bit with the theoretical side of things. So the emergence of the AI phenomenon seems to be quite sudden, at least from our perspective. No, I mean maybe us that came from a technology background sort of have seen it develop a little slower, But so I mean, what was it that pushed it over the edge, and how did we get here, basically?
Okay, so thank you, Sergio, for this. It's my pleasure to be here. So this is a question which a lot of people ask me. So they tell me, listen, there's this AI now, no? It's something new. Well, technically, AI has been around for the past 70 years. And now it's reached, of course, a level of maturity. We're here today because a few years back, so around 2007, there were three conditions which were sort of that happened simultaneously. One of them is the availability of data. So, with the internet, we have an almost unlimited availability of data. The second is a new breed of algorithms, which you might have heard of, which they call deep learning algorithms. And a lot of the AI which we use today, so self-driving cars, ChatGPT, whatever, are based upon these new breed of algorithms. And the third is an almost unlimited as well amount of processing power. So the GPU was developed, even though it was created for games, but it became very useful for these kind of algorithms, but also the cloud and its unlimited or almost unlimited processing. So these three conditions created what we have today. This started the revolution, however, and I think the biggest change which we're experiencing, and probably that's why we're talking here today, is because almost a year ago, so by the end of November of last year, ChatGPT was launched. Now, ChatGPT is not the first model. Before, there was GPT-3, GPT-2, and other versions. But however, the big difference was that it was the first model capable of producing content which was very similar to a human. So for the very first time in a long time, AI now not only almost reached the human, but in some cases even went beyond the human. And that is why we're here today.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we were talking last time about the World Economic Forum, and how there is this estimation that there will be a decrease in jobs and so on. I mean, in reality, I mean, how bad do we think it's going to be? And I think I would like to ask this to everyone, but
Yeah, no, I have something to add on the first question.
Yes.
I think I have a theory here of how, I've been using AI in 2012. I've actually created a business utilizing AI, the supervised learning of AI using e-commerce and Amazon. And I started $20 and I scaled it to $20 million. So it's been there. It started in 1950s from a concept to symbolic and to the deep learning, like Professor said. And I remember I have a friend who's heavily tech in Silicon Valley, where he created a behavioral signals where the AI can predict if the other person in the line can afford to pay their bills. It's a predictive, just the tone of voice. It's very interesting, right? But I think I have a theory here how ChatGPT exploded in a tech perspective in a world of blockchain and Web3, where everything deep collapse a little bit when it comes to companies not reaching their goal. And with the rise of AI and ChatGPT, where everyone can utilize, and then boom, there was a massive. That's just my theory, but I think it really helps because everyone is so frustrated with the blockchain and Web3 and ChatGPT. Everyone can feel and utilize it, and that's even exploded.
I think the fact that it was pretty much open to the public and went viral, I think that probably helped with the perception that this all happened really suddenly.
Yeah, and it's free. And before I used to utilize for content creation Copy.ai in 2020 and Jasper, and I used to pay $300, and now you can pay $20. You got ChatGPT 3.5.
Kate, maybe you can sort of expand a little bit on the next question. In your view, being someone who's using AI a lot and employing people and so on. What's your view about sort of this projection of a decrease in jobs? I mean, maybe we're thinking kind of industrial revolution, things where. We're thinking, oh, now the AI is going to replace us all, basically. I mean, how bad is it in your view, and sort of how can we mitigate that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a slowdown when it comes to economy as a whole, right? Like in the US, the inflation is really bad. It is the tech automation that's, yes, it will diminish some jobs, but I do believe it's going to create more job, but it's in a different category. That's how I feel about it. But I think as a whole, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a C-suite, I mean, we really have to embrace technology and to learn to be adaptable. Then we are, competitive in the marketplace.
Yeah, so I think the key is that transition phase now, where sort of the current skill set become kind of a little more obsolete, and sort of there's that gap, generational gap, until sort of the new generation actually is trained into the new. Yeah.
If I may comment, maybe just to give some statistics, according to LinkedIn, by 2030, 65% of the skills will be totally different than the ones we have today. So exactly what you're saying, we need to change our skills. There's an issue which I call the AI paradox. So on one end, you have a lot of jobs that are going to disappear. And if you think it's bad, I can tell you that it will be worse than you're thinking. Let me give you just an example that affected me this year. So as part of my work at university, I teach game AI, so the use of AI in gaming. And at the end of the semester, we organize a game jam. So students have to go there, and we have 42 hours to create a game of our choice. This year we had an issue because the designers decided not to participate because they're from another faculty, and so for some reason they decided not to take part in this. But this year is not a problem because my students will use generative AI, and we don't really need designers to actually create the content for us.
Yeah.
So on one end, we'll see this sort of cut in a number of vacancies, a number of employment. But even according to Forbes, by 2030, there will be a huge shortage of specialized skills. In fact, they're estimated that it will reach around 85 million specialized skills globally. So, you have this dichotomy, no? Loss of jobs, but we don't have enough people to fill the new jobs.
So there needs to be this drive now. Is there a drive by governments, companies, etc., to retrain the people who we expect maybe because I think that is because otherwise we're going to end up us old guys we're going to end up obsolete and then the new guys don't have enough experience maybe to
there's definitely not enough. let's put it like that.
So there's not enough warm bodies essentially to fill in the gaps that are being created, even if we had to retrain the people who are kind of becoming obsolete through this basically to new skills.
What I can tell you is that in September I was speaking to the Med9, they're the ministers of the European Union, and they're taking measures, but they won't be enough. So one, you have to upskill and reskill. But let's not forget that some people are not capable of doing this jump as well. So it's a massive investment which all countries need to do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, I think it's obviously everyone is scared of losing jobs. if you're in a developed country right now, I think that's the fear. The fear is I'm going to lose my jobs, but there's developing countries, emerging markets. We were just in Nigeria last week, and Nigeria had us fly out for a tech conference. And I've never seen people that are more excited about AI, more excited about jobs that are going to be created, wealth that's going to be created for them. Also, you have all these new people that you can hire from all around the world. So I think from a business perspective, we've also been hiring outsourcing from all different countries that would never before I would go to hire people. But now you can. So I think depending on where you're at, this is going to be, could be the biggest economic explosion we've ever seen. And then other places, for sure, jobs are going to be lost.
And it's going to be a problem. Like we, as a global, you know, it's always slow government, fast technology, right? That's the common problem.
Yes, exactly.
And technology is way more faster than human beings. So
yes. Alena, you want to fill in a little bit?
Yes.
Experience on this?
Yeah, I will add something. I think in general, there are some professionals that will be cancelled. So yes, this is a fact. But the positive thing is AI can't change the human at all in general. So AI can enhance your skills actually, because even if you just using ChatGPT and you add the request, please, for example, because I'm PR director, please, for example, write good PR marketing strategy, just for instance. And you will see the example of that. And you will see that this can be good, but me as a professional has to edit it using my own brain. So this is why maybe many professionals and professional skills will be cancelled. And that's why we will go to another how it can impact to the future on human brain.
Yes, maybe, exactly, and that's the next thing, and maybe we can actually continue on this. It's you know, I mean, we're getting a lot of like kind of, you know, free brain power in a sense, but sort of obviously it's got a lot of limitations, and maybe a lot of people are over relying on it, and you know, we're ending up maybe with more. How can you say, sort of stock content and stock things coming out, you know, because, you know, how many times are you going to, you know, ask ChatGPT to write you the same essay, you know, in different ways, for example, you know, and you know, tied to that, you know, I think that there is this worry in general, you know, of brain atrophy, you know, like sort of in a sense, you know, maybe we can make it, you know, compare it to the invention of the calculator, you know, where before everyone used to do maths in their brain and on a piece of paper, you know, and then suddenly, what's 5 + 3? Oh, wait a second, let me get my calculator, you know. So there's this possible, and you know, how do we think it's a serious issue? I mean, you know, because there's this overuse maybe, or and you know, less thought and more reliance on automation and so on, and how can we work around it and combat it, and you know, sort of not fall into that trap?
I think we can. The only thing that we can do, the only way, is just accept the changes that are coming. So on perspective, yes, it will be some changes in our brain. So we will accept maybe information hardly than we are just right. Like when the internet has existed, the way people reading the books is getting low. So this, my concern is, I do not want to put a lot of responsibility for AI. I think it depends. It depends on each of us. So it's our responsibility to make our brain stronger, actually, to use tools that we can, because this is progress and it's really cool that we live in this world. So we can put it and make ourselves stronger. So this is my position.
Great. Alexiei, you know, continuing on this a little bit, I mean, what are the risks, you know, of this increased reliance, especially at this point in time where you know, there's this perception that you know, AI and ChatGPT and so on, they're like, you know, this miracle cure, you know, of everything. But in reality, you know, they hallucinate, they provide fake information, you know, they you know, they can be deceptive. So, you know, by relying on these things, maybe we're creating some kind of damage. I mean,
yes. So when it comes to the risks, of course, as you correctly said, when it comes to hallucination, the latest models have reduced it to 5%, which is extremely low. But having said that, ChatGPT is not just the only model. There are loads of other models we can think of. And some of them do not have the level of protection of ChatGPT as well. And in fact, there are some models which are also uncensored. So that means that, all of a sudden you have all that power in your hand. And keep in mind that these models are developing very rapidly. Yesterday, I was reading that they're already working on GPT-5, which is the next iteration of ChatGPT. So, things are evolving very, very, very extremely quickly. And soon we will have our own ChatGPT on our mobile device running from there. Now, of course, we need to adapt to that. And the big problem which I see, as you correctly pointed out, is in the educational sector. Unfortunately, our educational sector in general, globally, is not adapting quickly enough to these technologies. So you have children that are, of course, very accustomed to technology and they find it naturally to use these technologies. And their teachers are trying to catch up. And this is creating a problem because, the assessment, which used to happen before, is not valid anymore. So we've been giving the same assessment for the past 20, 30 years. But now we need to change. It's a wake-up call that we need an overhaul in our educational system as well.
Kate, do you want to sort of
it's the risk of spreading misinformation, right? And could be a bias depending on who's putting information to the model. But then sometimes the fake is better than the real person, So
yes, and that maybe is an issue. And then Daniel, you this is something that you're quite versed in now. You're doing media and you're creating avatars and so on to go on TV and so on and so forth. So what are the challenges that you have been facing? What are the things to be careful about? And maybe, is this going to create any issues or any disadvantages, like sort of over time and so on? I mean,
yeah, I would say TikTok is more damaging right now than AI or ChatGPT, my personal opinion. So for us, the production that each employee has gone through the roof, that we're hiring more people. It's helping us a ton. Every single level, the editors, the videographers, the writers, everyone can do more now. And they can even learn multiple skills. So a writer now can also do some editing, some graphic design. So I think it's been amazing that they can do more, and they can also pick up when somebody falls off, somebody goes on vacation, they get sick, they can step in and actually do their job. So it's been incredible. And that's what we've learned. At the same time, you mentioned about that it might hallucinate or might not do things correct. That's why you do need someone to check.
Yeah.
So we have people that check everything. It's really important that you're giving the right information. We did just create an AI bot of myself that it doesn't look amazing. It looks like me, but it doesn't really move yet. That it will be doing interviews for TV as me. But I'm going to be giving it the information to say. It's not going to go off on its own.
Yeah.
I am excited one day to see that, though, where you can see AI just completely talk and be like a human. I think that's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and following from that, and especially in the media space, I think that a big part of as Kate said, sort of the fake is better than the real, or at least indistinguishable, and that I think is one of the major issues for the future. No, I mean, going down the line, it's essentially like, how do we control it from an ethical perspective?
Let's not forget as well that there's a market to that as well.
Yeah.
So next year in Europe, we will have the European elections. And what normally happens in these elections is that you get loads of fake news, coming over, trying to sway what's happening in the elections. Now, before you would have content farms writing content. So you would have, a person writing a content in 10 minutes, doing some Photoshop, another 10 minutes, and then half an hour you have your fake news.
Yeah.
Now you have the AI that in a few seconds it will give you loads of articles with pictures and everything. So I call it the tsunami of fake news that's coming towards us.
Yes.
And I think we're not doing enough to counteract that problem.
I think that I agree with you, because it's a major thing, and I don't know what your experience, guys. I think we're getting quite close to the end, but I think that this is an interesting way to conclude. Sort of when we have the technology, but how are we going to avoid the technology getting out of our hands and creating more damage than good? And sort of, what do you think are the things that we need to do, and when do we need to do them? And I mean, okay, maybe it's like you can say as soon as possible, but
Yesterday. Yesterday.
yes, but realistically, when will this become sort of damaging to the point where it can actually impact humanity? Alena, do you want to give your view on this?
Maybe I will just add something from philosophy point of view.
Yes, please. I mean, this is a philosophical question.
Okay, perfect. So for me, AI is not just an evil; it's just a friend, because it's something that you can use for enhance your own skills and to make your own USP better. So for me, as a PR director, I use AI for creating some good strategy. But with my point of view, it's really good. It creates really good and winning strategy for any kind of business and any project that I'm working in. So I see that there are a lot of damages and there are a lot of problems that we are facing it in the future. Yes, but potential for me of AI is much better than damages that it can create in the future.
Okay, yeah. Because in reality, I think that there are these two camps. No, there's the sort of the Terminator Judgment Day kind of camp, and and then there's the Nirvana camp. And maybe it's somewhere in between.
And as you mentioned, the truth is something in the middle of that. Yeah.
Yes, and I think it all depends on how we use it, and because you want to put in control, but you don't want to put in sort of an extreme control, that it sort of becomes like a regulatory nightmare. Let's put it this way.
And actually, that's the reason why I took the initiative to create the Global AI Council. And our mantra is AI for good. So it really gives free education for all. And we're putting it in a global team because, look, some parts of the world don't even have the internet. How can they stay, relevant, what they wanted to do with their jobs, right? Yeah. So we're lucky here because we have this option and tools, technology, and free education, but the rest of the world, they don't have internet access.
Exactly.
And so it's a balance of ethical financially for company. I mean, financially rewarding, but ethical for human being as well.
Yes. Daniel, do you want to?
Yeah, I don't have an answer, but I think humans are really good. Humans are really good at messing things up. I think we saw that with social media. Social media was great. A lot of people made a ton of money. It's been incredible connecting with people at the same time. People saw social media as a way to do evil and to do really bad things. Yeah. So I think no matter what we do in this world, we as humans are always going to mess it up.
Yeah.
But hopefully,
there's always going to be bad actors.
Always. Yes. But hopefully, as a majority, though, it'll be great.
Yeah. Alexiei, do you want to wrap this up?
Yes. So I'll put two quotes. One of them by Professor Stephen Hawking, that said, AI is most probably the most powerful tool ever created by human. As you correctly said, it's a tool, so we should use it as a tool. But then it depends how we use it. We either use it to do the good or to do bad. The second one, which I want to close with, is that at the moment, the biggest challenge is not whether AI is taking over your job or your business, but probably there will be some other business or some other competitor that knows how to use AI, and he will have a big advantage over you. And those are the people that will move forward in the coming climax.
Perfect. Do we have any questions? Do we have any time for questions?
We actually have a question already here.
Okay.
Concerned
Go for it.
by
Go for
Susan.
it.
Hello. Hey. Hi. Very insightful discussion. I've been just listening to you, especially from the ethical perspective, right? And we talked about how the advent of social media, where a lot of money was made, but of course there's a lot of misuse that happened as well. How do you foresee in future that when AI is already gained mainstream, that those ethical values are going to be abided by? Have you seen any practical application of that happening?
Kate, maybe you can look into that.
I like I mentioned earlier, it's fast technology, slow government, right? We all know that. globally.
Always.
So I think us as individual, we really have to do our due diligence about everything, and it takes all of us to work together to make it happen, because everything is so slow. Or like the previous panel here, like even regulators keep on changing their mind. They don't know how finding the balance, but it really takes a lot individually to do a fact check and due diligence of what is right, what is wrong.
And I think a lot of technologists are realizing this, and they're taking it into their hands to actually implement the ethical boundaries and the ethical regulations. No, I mean, maybe creating an AI that polices other AI and things like that. I mean, when does it end? But okay.
Yeah, sometimes what is right to other person is wrong to the other person. It might right for you, wrong to the other person, right? So.
But I like that angle, like, other AI actually policing the main AI. That could be very interesting face-off.
It could be an infinite loop as well.
So it's already happening. Yes? If you look at cybersecurity, the biggest war now is in AI. So AI policing and AI actually doing the hacking. So that's where things are going. So
thanks, guys. Great discussion. Is something that I'm heavily involved in, using AI and developing companies with AI. I just want to mention, I like a combination of two of the points you mentioned throughout the discussion, which was how our education system is completely corrupt and how people are using AI for negative aspects. So on the one hand, we're all developing AI and the world is going in that direction of automation. But when we come to like news, we all know what's been going on in the last 2-3 years, especially with TikTok, which you mentioned. Is there any way we will be able to curb, which you guys have seen in your experience, the mass of fake news, of polarizing opinions, which neither sides are based on facts and truth? Or is the solution reinventing education and teaching our children and the youth that you can't rely on what's going on in the world?
Daniel, maybe this is your thing? From a media perspective,
it's I don't think anyone has a solution yet. It's really, really challenging. It's hard, and I think Kate had said we all need to do our own part, but it's just going to get worse. It's going to get more challenging. Maybe there's an AI that somebody here can create that can help that AI, and that's a whole business in itself. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a good answer. Maybe Professor would know more.
I mean, from the educational perspective, no. I mean, from
the education perspective, definitely we need to teach people how to use social media, but also AI, because there's a big problem over there. I mean, if you look at the statistics, 70% of people just read the title and that's all. Many of them share it or like it and whatever, without even looking at the content of it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 70%. And a lot of them, even if they write it, they do not ask, who wrote this? From where? Some fact checking, nothing. So I think we need automated tools. It's not easy. There are some platforms that are doing it. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Canada that are introducing some legislation on the fact checking to filter out. Because, I mean, we've seen the recent conflicts now that are happening. You get so much information and misinformation that it's very hard to discern what is truth and what isn't. So I think the issue of truth will become a very, very big issue in the coming years.
And if I may, sort of add a little something to that, I think that it's not only that, but it's also sort of this balance that we need to achieve between sort of the moderation aspect and the fact-checking aspect versus what is freedom of speech, because sort of you're playing with kind of this aspect. You want to allow freedom of speech, but you want to maybe try and control things that are harmful, things that are and where's that middle ground, and I think that is something that maybe in the next years is going to be a big focus in where AI is going and how we are going to educate, our creators and our readers, because it comes from both sides, and I think that, to close, maybe, I mean, a big problem, as you said, of the education system is that it's always lagging behind, it's sort of, you start educating children, when they're 5 years old, but by the time they are 10 years old, the technology has completely changed, their lifestyle has completely changed and so on. And you're completely sort of, education system is a little bit out of its depth, I think.
And maybe what's worse is that with social media, we received what I call the freedom of ignorance.
Yes.
No? That everybody can say whatever they want. They have this megaphone shouting to the world. But irrespective of whether, I researched the topic or I saw a YouTube video, I have the same say like anyone else,
Exactly.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. I think we really need
Yes,
to...
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. It's been really, really great.
Thank you.